All right, so here we go. A bunch of Cyberpunk news and updates for you today because it seems like a big part of the community right now are deeply concerned about patch 1.5, considering how underwhelming patch 1.3 already was, and the recent comments from CD Projekt RED about that big leak not being true definitely did not help in this whole situation. So yeah, we're going to be talking about this one right here. I hope this patch won't be like 1.3, but also get this, it looks like CD Projekt RED was very interested in acquiring Days Gone and basically perhaps making a Days Gone 2 alongside Sony Bend and Sony. So that's definitely a really interesting story that we're going to be talking about today. So let's dive into all of this. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good. And yes, we are talking about more Cyberpunk 2077. Let's first of all talk about patch 1.5 and of course the concerns related to this one, and also what to realistically expect from patch 1.5. Check out this one right here. It says, it really sucked seeing patch 1.3 after months of silence bringing in 2 jackets and a car. I get that it's hard fixing a live game, but it's been over a year since the game came out. It's fine that they delayed the patches DLCs. I just hope they show up with something substantial. And you know what? In my opinion, they have to. You know, they've gone on record saying that they have gone beyond basically fixing glitches with the game. They're satisfied with how the game is actually running. As you can see right here, this quote, they are happy with the game's stability and performance, so they're ready to add in new content, and I'm hoping that's the plan for 1.5. But we do have that big leak, which was basically debunked by CD Projekt RED, suggesting that we'd be getting a soft relaunch of the game. And that's honestly disappointing that they have basically gone on record saying, no, this is not true. I was really hoping that perhaps that we would be getting a really big relaunch of Cyberpunk here with the next gen update and patch 1.5. Perhaps on some level that could be happening, but I do hope that we do see some brand new content. Now, what can we expect realistically for patch 1.5? You know, I would expect them to add something where you can change your appearance in the game, of course, at the very least. I wouldn't mind to see apartment customization, but in my opinion, that's a bit of a stretch. I do think that perhaps we would be seeing new cars, new weapons, things like that, but maybe they would want to sprinkle that throughout the entire year of 2022 until we reach the next big expansion. But we have this one right here. You have to remember this. This was brought up by Hovis. This is a great point. It says 1.3 was mostly under the hood changes. I think it made the game easier to work on long term. The mods definitely benefited, but we'll have to wait to see what the team have been able to do with it. Yeah, you know, I think one of the plans, honestly, this is just my opinion, was to be able to make the game more mod friendly so that it would keep the game afloat. The mods doing a lot of the work, I'm just going to say it. And then of course they can utilize modders officially in an official capacity to help them at the studio work on stuff that needs to be added to the game. So it's making it easier to develop from that end, which again means that hopefully we get a lot of new content through 2022, and I really hope that a lot of this content is free. Now it says this from Min Appreciation. It says, I mean, I can't remember if it was 1.3 or 1.2, but one of those updates did wonders for the PS4 version. I want to talk about this one. It's really important to remember that yes, they had that whole issue with Sony removing Cyberpunk 2077 from the storefront, of course, and they're beyond this. You know, they don't have to focus on this stuff, which gives me a little bit more hope for patch 1.5, despite what CD Projekt RED said about debunking, you know, this big leak and rumor regarding all those crazy features that would supposedly be in the supposed soft relaunch of the game, I guess you would say. But let me know what you guys would like to see, of course, from patch 1.5. I really do hope they nail this down. I think they're going in right now to the game and changing a lot of the core issues with the game. They've been on record saying that that's something that they're interested in looking at. So perhaps that's what they're doing as well. But yeah, this story right here relates to Days Gone. This has actually been in the news lately. Let's get into it right now. Check this out. It says Days Gone, CD Projekt was interested in IP according to the words of 2 former developers. According to 2 ex-developers of Sony Bend, CD Projekt RED has tried in the past to get Days Gone IP from Sony. And I'm just going to say this, I personally love Days Gone. It's a little bit of a slow burn to get into this game if you play it for the first time. I personally think it takes about 10 to 12 hours to really get into what the game's about. But I personally think that's part of the joy of this game. But yeah, let's get into this a little bit more. It says, during Dave Jaffe's latest podcast on YouTube, former Sony Bend members Jeff Ross and John Garvin shared an interesting background. Apparently, CD Projekt RED, author of The Witcher 3 and of course Cyberpunk, was interested in the Days Gone IP. However, Sony was unwilling to sell the intellectual property rights or license them for use, so in the end, no agreement was ever made. Now, you got to remember that Days Gone, Sony Bend, the creators of Days Gone, are working on a brand new game. It's not Days Gone 2, but this could mean that they may want to revisit Days Gone 2 in the future, perhaps if they expand Sony Bend. But it seems like CD Projekt RED was actually interested in helping expand Sony Bend on that front. Now we have this. It says, this is undoubtedly an interesting background, but unfortunately has not been explored that much. From the words of the 2X of Sony, this is translated by the way, 2X employees of Sony Bend, who admit that they cannot fully confirm this information. We therefore learned that potentially CD Projekt was willing to make a new Days Gone or maybe a spin-off. However, Sony, for various reasons, has preferred to hold on to the IP despite having effectively stopped work on a possible sequel made by Sony Bend. The studio is currently carrying out an unreleased project that could focus on multiplayer, according to a previously published job advertisement by the studio. And this is so interesting that the news has come around now, because this was also in the headlines recently. I'm sure some of you have heard of this, that Days Gone was a disappointment to Sony despite selling millions, director says. Former Sony Bend studio director Jeff Ross compared the sales of his open world zombie game to that of Ghost of Tsushima. Let's get into this juicy details right here. Check it out. It says right here, while developer Sucker Punch Productions celebrates the massive success of Ghost of Tsushima, which recently sold more than 8 million copies, not everyone is reveling in the excitement. Case in point, former Bend studio director Jeff Ross, who used the opportunity to take a stab at Sony for how it handled the reception of the open world zombie game Days Gone. Furthermore, it says the following right here. It says, Ross took to Twitter to air out some grievances, particularly regarding the sales of Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima. See, with Days Gone having been out for approaching 3 years now, the game has sold more than 9 million copies today, especially with its PC release on May 18th, 2021. Unfortunately, Ross said that local studio management made Bend Studio feel like Days Gone was a big disappointment, despite the game selling well. Even before Ross left Bend Studios at the end of 2020, Days Gone wound up selling the same 8 million Ghost of Tsushima recently has. And my assessment of this is, I think that, Days Gone 2 would have been even more of a bigger hit than Days Gone 1, because Days Gone, the original, had a lot of problems at launch with how it was running. They had to patch it, and I think they would be beyond that, of course, with the new tech and getting familiar with how to actually develop on the core Sony PlayStation platform. You got to remember that Sony Bend comes from, I think it's a PSP side of things, and they were really kind of learning things as they go. And I personally think they did a fairly good job with Days Gone overall. Here's the actual quote from Jeff Ross. It says, at the time I left Sony, Days Gone had been out for a year and a half and a month and sold over 8 million copies. It's since gone on to sell more, and then 1 million plus on Steam. Local studio management always made us feel like it was a big disappointment, which I just think that's absolutely insane. And yeah, I really want to see a Days Gone 2 in the future. Of course, let me know if you guys are in the same boat as me. All right, now back to Cyberpunk 2077. It's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video, but let's do this. My most recent Cyberpunk video was about that huge leak for 2022. CD Projekt RED denied this leak, of course, but some people say that, hey, it looks like a lot of this information could actually pan out to be true based on data mine stuff. My assessment of CD Projekt RED denying the leak, by the way, is that I think it's the actual content release window for all the content coming out at once. I'm assuming that because they denied stuff with this leak, that the content might be drip fed through 2022. That's just me guessing. But let's get into the replies about this one. We have Coded Nish, who says this, I just wanted more of a lifestyle update with more stores, mini games, restaurants, homes to buy, vehicle customization. I got platinum for this game, still having high hopes for CD Projekt RED. The story and world is too great to give up. And you know what? I think CD Projekt RED agrees with you on that one. Jay Sharp says this, I do not want weapons, card clothes, the new skills. I want gameplay features that were originally promised in the trailers and basic expectations of modern open world games like Sonic and Elden Ring. Right, Powell? Whoa, shots fired right there. Then we have Tuco, who says this, competition for Cyberpunk is going to be fierce this year. A lot of AAA games that were delayed last year are releasing this year. If Cyberpunk does not hit a home run with some solid DLC and patches in 2022, the franchise is in real trouble. As far as a live stream, all I can say is meh. The track record speaks for itself. I'm agreeing with OWG, and a pre-produced VOD with simultaneous launches on YouTube and Twitch would be better for CD Projekt RED. I agree with you agreeing with me. Then it says the public relations and marketing team needs a huge overhaul because it is downright poor. Yeah, you know, they really struggled with that recent live stream they did, or I should say the most recent live stream. You know, they even had like some of their own developers bashing Keanu Reeves' new look. I was kind of like, what is going on? Like, are they not with it? They're actually bashing their own work here. It was so, I don't know, so weird to me and cringy. Then we have some guy who says this, no matter what I hear about this game, whether that be leaks, rumors, dev talk, stream talk, data mining, none of it is what I want to hear. I'd rather have a revamped police system over new story and DLC. I'd rather have a gang system over an anime tie-in. You know, I still want the anime tie-in. Don't get me wrong. You know, I still want that because of the Witcher Netflix series. I'm curious to see what they do with that. Anyway, he goes on to say this, I want better customization throughout the game, vendors, activities, better crowd AI. I want things that flesh out what we have, features that are expected of an open world Cyberpunk game. I want what we all were promised. I want a proper Cyberpunk RPG. I want the No Man's Sky makeover. Who wants DLC when the base game we already paid for isn't even finished yet? Man, dude, I really wish they would No Man's Sky this game, because I've seen what they're doing on the No Man's Sky type of thing on that front, you know, and I'm like, if they could just do that for Cyberpunk. And they're doing stuff for No Man's Sky that's completely free. I feel like Sony, though, is always backing that team. They always have. And I'm a big believer in Hello Games now after what they have been able to pull off. They have worked their butts off for the past few years, making sure that No Man's Sky is in a place where it should have been at launch. So will CD Projekt RED take to that? I don't know, you know. I feels like in 2022, alongside developing a lot of stuff for Cyberpunk, they're interested in doing parallel AAA development for 2 AAA games, which to me sounds like a lot. I mean, that sounds overwhelming for the studio that's been through this Cyberpunk launch. And I've seen so many studios that just crumble under just the amount of pressure and workload that they put onto themselves. So again, it's up in the air. We'll see what happens in 2022. It can go all right, or it could go all wrong. But there it is, guys. Today's happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. It was really fun talking about Days Gone. I personally absolutely love this game, and I want it to be a proper franchise. I enjoyed it myself, and I still think it's beautiful with all the upgrades they've also done over the years and the PC release. But yeah, I want to see Days Gone 2 in the future. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk and open world gaming goodness, and I will see you all next time. Take care.